I know I'm gonna get hate for this, but Cetrion. Oh jeez, oh man.
What have I done to draw your ire?
You should kill yourself now.
Yo, what's up guys? SonicHaXD here, and welcome to my pitch for Mortal Kombat 12. So first off, I'd like to mention that a couple months ago, I made a poll asking what you guys would like to see me do next, and surprisingly, this topic was the one that won, which I was not expecting, but at the same time, thank you for choosing this because I actually do have a lot prepared and I'm very excited to talk about my MK12 predictions. Also, how do you guys like the new camera? Yeah, that's right. No more Walmart phone camera qualities anymore. It's now this HD 60 frames per second. Ooh, look at that, 60 frames per second. Yeah! Anyways, let me actually start talking about the actual video title. This isn't necessarily predicting what NRS is going to be doing next, but more so of what I'd like to see from the next game. Like if I'm a betting man, I would say they're just gonna redo Mortal Kombat 1 again or something like that. But instead of that, I'm gonna try to come up with my own story and character roster. With that being said though, I will try to stick to the continuity that this is taking place after the Aftermath ending where Liu Kang meets up with the Great Kung Lao. So I will still try to continue on that plot. So let me tell you guys my structure of how I'm going to do this video. I'm going to start by talking about the premise of the game, and then the roster, and then I'll focus on the story mode a bit more. All right, let's get right into it. So this story takes place after the reset. So everything is reset and everything is different now. And personally, I think that they should do a tournament again. It's actually literally been almost 10 years since we've had a Mortal Kombat tournament. So I think we should do that again. However, the difference this time is instead of it being Mortal Kombat 1 again, instead of it being, oh, this is the 10th tournament between Earthrealm and Outworld, and if Earthrealm loses, it's all over. Instead of that, this is the biggest point for how my premise will go with this story mode. And that is, instead of Earthrealm versus Outworld, it's all 6 realms going against each other. Yes, I want to bring back all the realms instead of it just being mainly focusing on Earthbound and Outworld and then a little bit of Netherrealm and a little bit of Edenia. So no. All 6 realms going at it with each other. Now I also know that there's a little bit more than just 6 realms, like the Vampire Realm and Zatera and stuff like that, but the main 6 realms are what make up the Mortal Kombat universe. You know, the one being is split into 6 and they all have the Kamidogu and stuff like that. So that's why I want to mainly focus on these 6. And honestly, I feel like I'm sick and tired of seeing the other realms being neglected. You have these, they exist in your worldview, yet they're always either Edenia is just a tragic backstory and that's it, and Orderrealm and Chaosrealm are just forgotten. But I feel like it's time that we should bring them back and actually make an interesting story with this. So here's my idea. Instead of Outworld being the dominant realm and it has conquered Edenia and is about to conquer Earthrealm, instead of that, nobody has won yet. Because you need to win 10 consecutive tournaments, but no one has done that yet. Probably they failed around 4 or 5 and stuff like that, and everyone has been independent. Edenia has not merged with Outworld, and Earthrealm isn't in the threat of being conquered by Outworld. So perhaps one day, one of the leaders thought, you know what, screw this, nobody's winning. How about we just have one tournament with all 6 realms, and whoever wins gets everything, basically, gets whatever they want. And maybe it can be kind of a situation where each realm has to vote whether or not they want to do this. And the majority of them want to, so that's why everyone is forced to participate in this tournament. Or maybe it can be Shao Kahn is sending Tarkatans to other realms to not necessarily conquer them, but just to harass them and poke them and give them little attacks and stuff like that. And so finally they're like, okay, fine, if you can stop doing that, we'll join your stupid tournament. Something along the lines like that. And perhaps instead of it just being merging realms, it could be kind of like a Tekken situation. If you win, you get your wish come true. There's more to it than just merging realms. I don't know. The point is, we have a tournament with all 6 realms going against each other, and that is the premise of my story. Now, onto the roster. Looking back at the roster from the last couple games, I think choosing the number 24 is a safe bet, in my opinion. Now, we could go to 30, but I think that'll be DLC and stuff like that. So let me just start with the base roster. And here's my idea. Each realm has 4 characters, and each realm will have 1 mentor. Now, the mentor character can kind of be like their leader as a sort. Basically, it's kind of like, say, like Raiden, or maybe even like Shao Kahn, like these higher figures, characters who will be the ones who teach them, who will lead them. However, because of how strong they are, they themselves cannot participate in the tournament. Like, I will have each realm also have 1 character like that too. Oh, and by the way, because I said only 24 characters, that means that the mentor characters are not playable. I mean, sure, you can vision them being playable and have the roster be 30, but in my eyes, I think that's a lot of effort for NRS. Just think of them more as like background characters that are important instead of them being playable, because that's how I'm thinking of them in my ideal of a game, basically. Okay, let me start with Edenia, because funny enough, I think Edenia is the easiest out of all these. Now, first off, Katana, 100% guaranteed. You cannot talk about Edenia and not have Katana, like literally. Now, this is where things get interesting. The logical thing to think about, I'm sure, is the mentor of this realm, I'm sure, should be King Jared. Like, he should be the one to represent the realm and to lead his people to join the tournament or to fight and stuff like that. However, for me personally, I kind of want to see King Jared playable. King Jared is a character who has existed in the Mortal Kombat universe for many, 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 many years, but he's always just a tragedy, and he's always just used as like, oh, poor sacrifice. So how about in this new continuity, he actually is a competent fighter, and he can actually dish out some cool moves, and you know, I think I would love to see King Jared as a playable character. And if King Jared is a playable character, then the mentor of this realm would be Sindel. Good guy Sindel, by the way. However, I feel like if you'd like to see Sindel being playable, then you can just switch her with King Jared around. Either way, it's either Sindel the leader and King Jared playable, or King Jared the leader and Sindel playable. But I want King Jared playable, so that's how I will put my roster. And then the rest of the roster, there's a lot of characters we can pick. There's so many characters that come from Edenia. We've got Jade, Rain, Tanya, Jade's mom, Taven, Dagon, and even Melina. So I pick Jade because I think it's too important not to have Jade in this roster. Although I think it'd be nice to have Tanya return, but I don't know, it's hard to replace Jade, honestly speaking. So I'm gonna put Jade in this roster. And the final character, I thought about this for a very long time, and I was going to put Tanya. However, I have decided that I'm going to put Melina as the last character in this roster. Here's a really funny thing about Melina. While I was making up this list, I found out Melina can go into like 3 realms, basically. Like, she's so diverse in how she can appear that it's kind of crazy. But why do I want Melina in Edenia is because I think a lot of people and a lot of fans want to see good guy Melina. It's been teased, it's been showcased here and there, but it's never been done before. She's always like a betrayer, or she's just like super evil and stuff like that. But I think people want to see like a cute sister relationship of Melina and Katana. She can be like a chaotic good kind of a character. And I would love to see a take on a good guy Melina. And what better way to do that than to have her just represent Edenia with Katana? Yeah, so after thinking about it, I thought that would be very interesting. So I decided to have Melina be in Edenia. And there we go, that is the Edenia roster. Next, we're heading on to Earthrealm, which honestly was kind of hard to think of because of just the quantity amount of characters we have to pick. And also there's an interesting situation that made me basically have 2 versions of Earthrealm rosters. And I'll get to why there's 2 later. But let me start with the first version. Now, since this is the new continuity of this resetted universe, the mentor figure of Earthrealm will not be Raiden, but instead it will be Fire God Liu Kang. And after all, from the end of Aftermath, we have seen that he is obviously going to be the Raiden to like the Shaolin monks and stuff like that. So having him be the mentor of this roster, I think makes a lot of sense. And having Liu Kang be the mentor is very interesting because that would mean he's not playable. And I think that would cause a big like, whoa kind of a feeling. But yeah, as I stated, like there's 24 characters we gotta put in our roster. So there's a bit of a limited amount. Now, the first character I want is a Wuxi representative. You may think, okay, well then that means, Liu Kang's off the list, then that means Kung Lao, right? Here's my crazy idea, and I really want them to do this. I want a young human Raiden. In this version, he's not the Thunder God we're used to seeing now. He's just a human from the Shaolin monks who is trained by Liu Kang. It's now reversed now. It's instead of Raiden taking care of Liu Kang, now Liu Kang is the one who is mentoring Raiden. And I don't want to just have it be like the normal Raiden we're used to. I want it to be very, very different. I want it to be cocky, overbearing, and kind of like Kung Lao in a sense. And I feel like that will throw off a lot of people for like the Raiden that everyone's used to. But I would like to imagine that before Raiden was like this 1,000-year-old god, before he went through like so much in his life, that he probably used to be like a very, very brash kind of a person. And one trait that I think would be very fun for this character is that he has this hatred towards other realms, that not only is he joining the tournament to protect Earthrealm, but to also basically trying his best to annihilate the other realms. It's like, these other realms are trying to conquer us. I hate them. They are sickening to me. And that's basically bringing a little bit of Dark Raiden into his character. And Fire God Liu Kang has to be one to be like, no, you know, we are all people in the end of the day, blah, blah, kind of a stuff. But this Raiden would be kind of like a bit of a mixture between Liu Kang and like his movesets. So this Raiden can do like a lot of like the Bruce Lee inspired moves, but instead of fireballs, he can actually use electricity and stuff like that. I think this idea of Raiden is really fun. And I would love to see, you know, instead of like the god Raiden we're all used to, it's a young, human, arrogant little brat Raiden. I just think that would be a really cool idea. Now, there are so many like characters I can pick in Earthrealm that I have decided to try my best to pick a character from like each faction. So now that I have a Wuxi representative, I don't need to put Kung Lao in the roster, which sucks because everybody likes Kung Lao, but like as I stated, it's a very limited roster. Now the next character I picked would be someone from the Special Forces, and immediately Sonya and Jax will come to mind. But the thing is though, I don't really want them. not because I hate those characters or anything like that, but just like, okay, here's my Special Forces rep. I pick Takeda. But for one, I just really want to see Takeda again. Who's to say that in this version, Kenshi's son can't already be like grown up and ready to fight and stuff like that? The other reason why I picked Takeda is because not only does he represent the Special Forces, but he also represents the Shirarayu. So we have two factions being represented in one character. And also, I just wanted to see Takeda again. He's awesome. If we compare the combat kids, they're all around here. It's like, okay, they're okay. And Takeda's like, whoop, all the way up here for cool factors and lore-wise. So yeah, I picked Takeda. And then the next character, we gotta have a Lin Kuei member. So Sub-Zero, obviously. In this version, I think Sub-Zero can already be the Grandmaster. You can already have the whole conflict in between the Lin Kuei, the Cyber stuff, his Grandmaster, the Bihan, blah, blah. All of that kind of like resolved. And now he is the Grandmaster already. At least that's my idea, basically. So Sub-Zero is obviously. And then the final character I choose is, I was thinking about like maybe like a Black Dragon member or something like that, but then in the end I was just like, I'm just gonna pick Johnny Cage. I feel, as we see from MK 2021, the movie, not having Johnny Cage in your roster will result as a big criticism. So, and also, you know, I like Johnny too, so why not? Just have Johnny be in the roster. I think originally my idea would have been, instead of Takeda, it was gonna be Sonya. So that way we'll have Sonya and Johnny in the roster. But I don't know, I'm not like the biggest Sonya fan anyways, and I rather wanted to see Takeda. But basically you can switch Takeda, you can switch Johnny Cage with Sonya, and I think that would still work for this roster. So here is my Earthrealm version 1 roster. Now on to version 2. So what makes version 2 of the roster more interesting is, well, I'm gonna have the Great Kung Lao be in it. And what that means is this whole entire game will take place 500 years ago, you know, when the Great Kung Lao actually existed and stuff like that. And this will literally take place right after the end of Aftermath, where Liu Kang like recruits the Great Kung Lao, and then we'll immediately start our story from there. Now, of course, the biggest hurdle that I have to surpass is the fact that if this takes place in the past, then a lot of characters, at least from Earthrealm, can't exist as of right now. A lot of characters from the other realms can exist, like, because Edenians can live a long life and Outworld people can live a long life, so there's no issue really there for me to change around the roster. But Earthrealm, I have to come up with a lot of interesting ideas, and that's what I'm doing here. So first off, we have the Great Kung Lao as a character. I think it's a great idea. He is a beloved legend that everybody in the Mortal Kombat fan base knows about. And the second character I have is, again, I want young human Raiden. And who's to say he can't exist 500 years ago or in the present time of Mortal Kombat? I think he can exist anytime in the continuity as long as he participates in the tournament. So in this version, he's fighting alongside the Great Kung Lao. And I think these two being together is a great idea. And it would be kind of like a Liu Kang and Kung Lao situation where the Great Kung Lao is the more smarter one, the chosen one, whereas the young human Raiden is the more brass, the more cocky, the I should be the chosen one kind of a dynamic. And I think that'd be a lot of fun. Now here's where I have to really put on my thinking cap as to who I should put in next, because obviously nobody really exists other than the Great Kung Lao back in this time, at least for the human, at least for the Earthrealm characters. So I think the last two characters in this roster would be original characters like OCs. But here are some ideas that I think I can provide. For starters, the Shiraiyu could exist in this time period, and maybe we can have a character called Scorpion, but not have him be Hanzo, have him just be like another Shiraiyu member who can use like Scorpion moves and stuff like that. We can have a Nightwolf, who is not the Nightwolf we know, but Nightwolf back in 500 years ago, because each Nightwolf is like a different person and they pass that down to Motaro and blah, blah, blah and stuff like that. I wrote in my notes Boraicho, so why not? But I think one idea that I think is really, really cool and the Mortal Kombat lore hasn't really touched upon is the original Cryomancer who passed down his ice abilities to Sub-Zero. Let me give you guys a brief history lesson. Now, Sub-Zero is human. However, his ice abilities come from Outworld because a long, long time ago, someone from Outworld married a person from Earthrealm and they had a baby, and this baby had the ice abilities, and this lineage passed down all the way to Sub-Zero. So that's why even though Sub-Zero is a human, he has ice abilities. So I was thinking, well, what if in this roster, in this game, we have the original Cryomancer? I think that's really interesting. And also, if I'm not mistaken, we have never seen an actual Cryomancer character yet in the Mortal Kombat universe. Like, we've only heard about them. We heard that they're from Outworld, and that's it. And basically, Sub-Zero is the closest you have to like a Cryomancer. But of course, because the Cryomancer is an Outworld character, I have another version of this, which is basically we'll have this Cryomancer be an Outworld and have the Cryomancer's like wife be an Earthrealm and have them be in oppositions, and then maybe we can see how they met and stuff like that. But either way, my third pick for this roster is the Cryomancer. Now, the final character I have here is a very tough one. I thought hard and strong about this one, and I wanted to try to give something very creative. One of the ideas that I had was, how about we actually take an actual person in the histories and have this person be a fighter in this game? Kind of like, say, how the Dynasty Warriors series do it. Sangbo is an actual war that happened in China, but they turned that into like their own story and into a game franchise, and it's turned out to be like super successful. So I'm thinking of doing something like that too. Now, it's not really easy to pinpoint an exact character who existed back in like the 14th century who would be a cool fighter in the Mortal Kombat universe, but one character I had in mind was a character that I remember hearing from an intro dialogue from Geras, and I'll play it out right here.
You remind me of someone.
Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, Helen of Troy.
Joan of Arc, the young martyr.
Joan of Arc. Now, Joan of Arc is a legendary woman warrior who has a very, very interesting story, but I think she could be an interesting pick to be put into this game, especially since NRS has kind of like hint, nudge this character into an interaction. Now, there are two issues for this. Number one, Joan of Arc is a 12th or 13th century person. So that's a couple hundred years early from when the Great Kung Lao existed. However, I think maybe they could like, I don't know, do a bit of a time manipulations, or like say the Great Kung Lao actually existed a couple years earlier or something like that. I don't know. The time period of the Great Kung Lao and the Joan of Arc existing is a little bit off. That's a small problem. And the other thing I was thinking about was, is this insensitive? Like, will this offend French people? Like, we obviously can't have like the character that Taika Waititi played in Jojo Rabbit be a playable character in Mortal Kombat or something like that. Like, that would be way too offensive. Although on a serious note though, having Hitler be playable kind of seems... You know what, let me get back on track. However, I don't think having Joan of Arc being playable is that insensitive. It has been a long time. She's a war hero. And also, she has appeared in other medias too. She was a playable character in the Age of Empires 2 campaign. And also, she had a movie starring Jola Vidovic. Sorry, I forgot how to pronounce her name. So if she can play Joan of Arc, I don't think it's too far-fetched for her to be in Mortal Kombat. And there we go. That is my second version of the roster. Personally, I think this second version is much, much more interesting and can really bring a new dynamic to the Mortal Kombat universe. It's very risky. There's no Johnny Cage, there's no Sonya, there's not even Sub-Zero. So definitely is a very risky roster, but I think it's very cool and I would love to see them tackle the Great Kung Lao and these other characters as a playable character. So next up, we're gonna go to Orderrealm. Now, the first character that has to be guaranteed 100% in the roster is Hotara. Like, how can you not? He literally is the representation of Orderrealm. I don't know if you want to keep his entire storyline because a lot of people don't really like him. He's just a guy who is like, oh, you break the law, now you die kind of a character. So I don't know if that's all you really want to do with him, but yeah, we'll see. I don't really know if I want to put Darius into the roster. Like, yes, having like a rebel against Orderrealm also represent Orderrealm, it might be interesting, but I don't know. And also, I just don't want Dairon. However, I do want to put some interesting characters into this realm that are characters who exist from Orderrealm. Like, of course, you can have original characters that you come from Orderrealm, but I have some pretty fun ideas that I think would be a good idea to put these characters into Orderrealm. And the second character in this realm that I have is Ashra. Now, if you don't know Ashra's lore, let me give you the TLDR. Basically, she is a demon that came from Netherrealm, but she despises Quan Chi, and that's why she escaped. And then one day she happened upon a legendary sword, and she thought that by using this sword to kill demons from Netherrealm, that her soul will be cleansed and purified until one day she will be a pure being and that she will completely be expelled from Netherrealm. However, the truth is, this sword is just using her to kill random demons and vampires and nothing else. So she's just being manipulated. And I think having this character be an Orderrealm is a very, very good idea. Like, she means well and she thinks she's doing the right thing, but deep down, she's actually just committing genocide. So I think that's a good like representative of Orderrealm. Now the next character I want is Shujinko. Now I'll be honest, Shujinko is kind of just here because I want to see him again, and I'm kind of just putting him like in this realm because I don't really have anywhere else to put him. Perhaps he just came to Orderrealm to learn their ways and happened to be there when the tournament started, so he has to represent Orderrealm. Or maybe this can take place also around when Conquest happened, so he was in the prison of Orderrealm, and maybe Hotaro was like, I can set you free, but you must fight for us, or something along the lines of like that. But basically, I also think Shujinko just kind of feels like a character that might fit Orderrealm. I know that sounds very like pretentious. It just feels like it'll work, but again, I just want Shujinko to be in the roster. And now the final character I have for Orderrealm, I know I'm gonna get hate for this, but Cetrion. Oh jeez, oh man. But think about it. Actually think about it. Cetrion is the representative of light and virtue. She is the goddess of goodness. She is the blah blah good. Wouldn't that be like such a perfect fit for Orderrealm? In fact, all of like Chronica's like characters, like Chronica, Cetrion, and Geras, I think just kind of can fit into Orderrealm, especially Cetrion. But I know how much you all hate Cetrion, so I will save you the trouble, and instead of letting her be playable, I'm gonna put her as a mentor. I think she fits so well as a mentor. She could be the one being like, we must think of the light and the order, yes, and Hotaro can look up to her, and I just think she can fit very good as a mentor. However, as the final character instead, oh gosh, I'm gonna piss off even more people. I'm gonna put Chronica as the final character to represent Orderrealm. You were the chosen one, Sonic! You were supposed to defeat Chronica, not join her! How dare you! But instead of being the Chronica we know and hate, This is actually a nerfed down version of Chronica, like a semi-human version of Chronica. So she's like way weaker and she's not like a titan basically. I will say this though, a lot of people wanted Chronica to be playable in Mortal Kombat 11, and I feel like this could be a good excuse for her to return as a playable character. One of the arcade endings had her give up her powers in Mortal Kombat 11, so I feel like we could have like this version of Chronica be playable. And again, I think she could fit. I think she also is like the I'm doing this because I think it's the right thing to do kind of a character, like all the Orderrealm characters are. And that's Orderrealm, yeah! Hey guys, so you might have noticed a cut in this video, and that's because while I was recording the Orderrealm part, I literally lost my voice. Next up we have Outworld. Reptile time! What's wrong with my voice? So I waited a bit to come back and record, but now I'm ready to finish the video. Next up, we have Outworld. And Outworld is another easier one in my opinion, and it's more because that there is a lot of characters that we can pick from Outworld. First, we'll start with the mentor. I think it's a no-brainer to have Shao Kahn be the mentor. Yeah, he's just gonna be the leader of Outworld, so yeah, Shao Kahn will be the mentor. The first character I have in mind is Reptile, because fuck you. I'm Reptile. I think is a no-brainer. I want Reptile. Okay, I want Reptile, and Reptile is a good representation from the Saurian race, the lizard people race. We'll just pick Reptile for here. I think having Shang Tsung is a very good idea too. It's kind of hard to not have Shang Tsung in a Mortal Kombat tournament. I don't know if Carrie will reprise his role for this, but it would be awesome to see him return again. So the last two characters I have here are a bit tricky, but I want to try to have one character represent like one race. So like Reptile represents the Saurians, and then we also could choose someone from like a Tarkatan, a Shokan, Centaurian, I think that's what it's called. The Naknadas, the Kaitins, the Pokemons, I don't know. Basically, that's my idea, so I don't really want to just pick like the ones you expect the most. I think Baraka, it might be a really good choice because Tarkatans are really, really important for Outworld. But since we just got him in MK11, I'm not gonna pick him for this roster. Instead, I'm gonna pick a character who can represent the Shokans, the four-armed people. We had Goro in MKX, we had Shiva in MK11, so I think it's time for Kintaro to get some love. That's right, my third character choice will be Kintaro. It's time for people to remember that Kintaro is no easy potato for people to handle. I don't know. As for the final character, I feel like I should be nice and pick a character that NRS created. So for my final character, KK. Now, I'm not just picking him for biased reasons. I mean, partially yes, but there's a very important thing about Kotal Khan, and it's the fact that he represents the Osh-Tech. And I feel like, especially in MK11, there is a lot of Osh-Tech people. That's another race that they can represent in this game too, and that's Outworld. Next up, we have Netherrealm. Now, Netherrealm was a little bit more tricky because I wanted to be more representing of like the evil and like hellish side of Netherrealm, and not just revenants. I don't want to just do characters who died to return again. I dig through the characters that we could pick, and this is my list. First off, Shinnok being the mentor, I think is also a no-brainer, like totally. Quan Chi can return, I think. I think Quan Chi is a good representation of Netherrealm. And here's where I will put Scorpion. Now, Scorpion's a tough one to put in the game because I don't know if we're gonna have the whole Sub-Zero murdered his clan but then it's trying to be Quan Chi plotline again, or if this is gonna be like something a little more different. Kind of like how MK 2021 was, it was just Sub-Zero and completely not Quan Chi plot. And the other thing is also my Earthrealm roster, which has the Great Kung Lao in it, will take place in the past, which Hanzo Hasashi does not exist in. So I don't know if how that much is gonna affect it. They could maybe pull another, actually Hanzo Hasashi existed 400 years ago plot here or something like that. Either way, Scorpion's a little bit of a tough nut in this roster, but I still think he needs to be in it. Or else Ed Boon will not give the fundings for this game. Now for the final two, I think I wanted to go a little more creative and look for some cool characters. Now the first one I think that should return is Draman. I feel like this character has always been interesting Netherrealm character, and I think it's time that they bring him back and or at least revision him. I think some people don't really like his design or like that character, so revision him to be more cool. And then let me just list off some characters that we can put here too. We got Ashra, who's already at Orderrealm. We've got Moloch, and then also maybe even Karan. But for this last spot, I have decided to give it to Serena. Serena not only does come from Netherrealm, she's a demon, but also she was teased in MKX, and then she never made an appearance in the games. So I think now it's a good time to bring her back and to make her be someone from Netherrealm. And that's the Netherrealm roster. And lastly, we have Chaosrealm. Things are about to get chaotic. So the first character, 100% guaranteed in this roster, is Havoc. People want him back. He's a crazy looking fellow. I think it's a great idea to bring him back. And here's where things get slightly tricky, because Havoc is the only character to come from Chaosrealm. So now I have to think a bit outside the box, and I felt like Chaosrealm kind of represents dark magic, or like crazy people could also come from there or go there. So that was the idea I had, and the idea that I was going with for the next 3 characters. The first idea that I had were the genetic experiments. The genetic experiments were creatures that are created by Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn. And I feel like these type of characters also could fit really well into Chaosrealm. And that being Melina, Meat, Scarlet from MK9 before she got retconned. But my pick for this realm is Ermac. I think Ermac just can fit very, very well in Chaosrealm. He's literally a being with like 1,000 warriors inside him. So that sounds a little like crazy. Perhaps lore-wise, Shang Tsung sold Ermac to like Chaosrealm so that they could have more fighters. Or maybe like Ermac escaped to Chaosrealm or banished to there or something like that. Either way, I think Ermac will fit very well in Chaosrealm. I think you can see him even in Conquest mode there. So yeah, my pick would be Ermac. The next character I have is Nitara! I think Nitara being in Chaosrealm sounds like a great idea. First off, she wasn't even from Outworld. She's from the Vampire Realm. And her whole motive is to find like the gem to go back to the Vampire Realm. Well, what's to say that she can't do that in Chaosrealm? Huh? Basically, she can still be the same character, except now she's trying to do her plans in Chaosrealm instead. And again, she's like a dark magic, blood magic, vampire type character I think would fit in Chaosrealm too. And also we have the Nitara and Ashra conflict now, and now Ashra is in Orderrealm and Nitara is from Chaosrealm. That adds even more juiciness to it. Now for my final pick, Noob Saibot. I think the character just oozes Chaosrealm, that kind of a vibe. Literally, if I told someone who has never seen or played Mortal Kombat games and I showed him Noob Saibot and I said, where do you think he comes from? And I show him the 6 realms, I think they would pick Chaosrealm. It just seems like a perfect fit. Maybe lore-wise, Quan Chi still created him, but he kind of just hates him, so he banished him into Chaosrealm. Or maybe he was like infected on Earth and then he became Noob Saibot in Chaosrealm. Or maybe he chose to go to Chaosrealm because that's where he thinks he belongs. Heck, one of the MK9 arcade endings is literally him working with Chaosrealm. And I just think from lore implication wise, there's a lot of cool ideas that can come from this. However, there is one other character that is fighting for this spot, and that character is Smoke. Now I'm sure you're wondering, Smoke? Smoke? What the hell are you on about? Smoke being from Chaosrealm? Huh? Now hear me out. First off, I'm picking Smoke because a lot of people want Smoke to return, and I'm trying my best to find a way to put him into this roster. But Earthrealm has Sub-Zero to be from the Lin Kuei, and I can't really see him being anywhere else, really. I mean, maybe he can come back as a Revenant in Netherrealm, but I don't want that. I don't want Revenants in this roster. So I thought of a pretty crazy idea for why Smoke can be in Chaosrealm, and the answer is Inimra. Now, if you guys don't know Inimra, basically this backstory started in Smoke's arcade ending in MK9, and it talks about there's like this like smoke demon inside of him this whole time. And in MKX, he specifically calls himself Inimra.
Smoke is dead. I am Inimra.
Of course, they don't do anything with this ever again, but I think this can be the gateway as to why Smoke can be in Chaosrealm, because like he's struggling with this Inimra part of him. I think it's a great idea to have Smoke in here, but the issue is he's fighting over Noob Saibot. And in the end, I decided that I think I'm gonna give it to Noob Saibot. Yes, I want Smoke to return more than Noob Saibot, But I feel like from a story perspective and a lore perspective, having Noob Saibot be in Chaosrealm, there's so much more interesting potential that you can do with that. But of course, this is Netherrealm Studios, so they might not do anything, so maybe might as well just have Smoke. I'm still picking Noob because I think it's too cool. Of course, you can have Smoke also replace Natara or Ermac. No way he can replace Havoc. But again, I think Ermac and Tara really stand strong in this spot too. So I'm really sorry. I tried, but I really just couldn't put Smoke into this 24 roster list. Maybe as DLC. Oh, and as for the mentor for this realm, I was thinking maybe Blaze, but I think the best choice here would be Onaga. Instead of Onaga being killed and poisoned by Shao Kahn, how about we say this time Onaga either was banished or ran to Chaosrealm and is now like the leader there and has been preparing his undead army or something like that, basically. And that is the roster for my MK12 game. Now, onto the crazy story mode. I don't know what I'm doing. That was cringe. So I have two ideas for the story mode in this. The first one I have is it can be a little bit of a less effort put into kind of story mode, not very cinematic. And the reason for this is because you can pick between all 6 realms and play through each of them and have them win a tournament and see what happens from there. So you can see, like, I pick Edenia. They're gonna try their best to win the tournament, and we'll see their struggles and how Melina and Katana's relationship, or Jade and blah blah and stuff like that, and what happens when they win the tournament. And each realm will have like a different ending and a different story based off of like who you pick and stuff like that. And of course, because Netherrealm really likes their Obunga Junga endings, we can have a 7th ending where it's like the canon, the true ending, where friggin' there's a bigger threat and we all have to work together to fight it. I don't know, Chronica return, everybody, kill her. I don't know. And then the second idea I have is basically just a classic Netherrealm Studio cutscene type story mode, which I think is something that they would rather do. However, I think it would be a lot better because it's not just Earthrealm is the hero of this story. No, it's all 6 realms and all of their stories intertwining in this crazy tournament. And this is one of the reasons why I limited the roster, because if not half of your roster are all good guys and are from Earthrealm, you are now forced to make the other realms have interesting lore and stories instead of it just being, oh, good guy, we win. That's basically the NRS story mode. This is why I liked Injustice 2's story mode. Well, yes, you have a main bad guy group, but between the heroes, there are kind of like 2 factions, the Batman side and the Superman side, and you're playing both while going through the story. So it's not just you're always being the good guy. It's kind of like having 2 factions work together to stop another good, but these 2 factions are also going against each other. And that's kind of one of the reasons I thought Injustice 2's story worked a little better. But also you can have the first idea that I threw just then and just let it be the arcade mode. And that is my pitch for Mortal Kombat 12. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why do you hate it? Because I put Cetrion Chronica in it. Tell me your version of the roster with these rule sets. Who would you pick from each realm? Please let me know in the comments. I'm very interested. This was a very fun video to make. I came up with a lot of ideas in my script. I had really fun time just looking at all the characters I can pick and who to be where and stuff like that, and it was just a lot of fun. Fun fact, I'm trying to get this video out as soon as possible because I believe the Game Awards is about to happen in like 7 hours from now. So if, say, Netherrealm Studios releases their MK12 trailer during the Game Awards and it completely debunks everything I say in this video, well, at least I got it out before that happened. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm working my ass off on the Battle of the Realm Sucks video, so hopefully that'll be out before the end of the year. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Take a slap. Oh, hey, check it out. It's my classic finger cam table. Haha, cringe.